Hey there folks, Uncle Troy here. I keep getting questions about this camera, so I'm going to keep answering them. The question today is what file limits or video length limits are there on the Samsung HMX-F80 camera? And I've answered this question before, but I've answered it incorrectly, so I need to correct myself. The Samsung HMX-F80 camera uses the H.264 video compression scheme, which is one of the newer compression schemes. Produces very good high quality output at a very small file size, and it saves it into the MP4 container format, which is also a relatively new format with a lot of good options, a lot of good capabilities, I guess I should say. And the H.264 compression scheme and the MP4 container format, neither of those have any of these file size limits or length limits or anything like that. You can, I forget the maximum video size, but it's bigger than anything you're going to use, and I forget how the file length size, but it's bigger than anything you're going to create. So those are fine. So based on those two things, theoretically the camera should record a file size as big as will fit on your memory card. So in theory you can keep recording until you completely fill up your memory card, one big file, everything will be fine. But as always, theory is one thing, practice is something else, and it turns out there is a limit. I discovered it myself accidentally, and then I checked the manual, and then other people have also written in, but there's a 20-minute video limit. Your video longer than 20 minutes, it will chop it up to keep it all under 20 minutes. And the bad thing is it's not a clean break at 20 minutes. It's not that you can take the one 20-minute file and the other 20-minute file and just put them together with your video editor, because it actually takes a couple of seconds for it to close down the one file and start the next one. So if you're recording something for a long period of time, every 20 minutes or so you'll have a little 2-second gap in your video, which is not optimal if you're, recording a sporting event or your kids at a school play or something like that. You'll want it to, be all one side. So if more than 20 minutes at a time is an important factor for your recordings, then you might want to look at a different video camera. And I swear there was not a single car coming down this road before I set up here to record. I found the best sunlight, nice cloudy day today, not too much direct sunlight, so I can actually be out here without squinting. There's also a limit, according to the manual, of a 1.8 gigabyte file size, regardless of the length of your video. Now I think a 20-minute video with the H.264 compression scheme isn't going to get up around 1.8 gigabytes anyway, unless you got like a whole lot of motion, a whole lot of action. Keep that in mind as well. And that's a pretty close to 2 gigabytes, which I think is what the internal memory of this camera is rated at. I'm not entirely sure, but the old programmer and hardware developer in here says that probably the camera has about 2 gigabytes of internal memory, so it saves as much of the video as it can in memory, compressing it with the H.264 compression scheme, and then when it gets up to about 2 gigabytes, it has no choice but to dump it to the memory card. So I apologize if in previous comments or videos I made out like this thing could record for as long as you had a memory, in your memory card available. But according to the manual, according to the feedback I've gotten, according to my own tests, you can only get about 20 minutes of video, or about 1.8 gigabytes per recording session. So, like I said, sorry if I led you astray, but that's another limit of the camera. And if that's important to you, you might want to look for a different camera. I still think this is a good camera. I still think it's a good buy. But, it's your needs that's important, not mine. Okay, so Uncle Troy signing out. Please have a good night. Good night.